We're back with more Common Knowledge, the show where I'm taking a look at 10 common Magic the Gathering cards, telling you are they good in the Pauper format or not, and probably telling a couple stories around the way. It's just kind of what I do. Let's start with our first card. It is Charging Griffin. It is 3 and a white for a 2/2 Griffin with flying, and whenever this creature attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. That is a normal ass Magic card originally from Magic 2014 and also in Magic Origins. Yeah, it's pretty normal. It's just a pretty normal card. 4 mana for a 2/2 flyer is not particularly great, but 4 mana for a 3/3 flyer, which this thing can be when it attacks, is better. But I think white just has access to many more impactful, like not necessarily better or more powerful or those kinds of things, but just more impactful things that will do more in the game. Whether it's a core Skyfisher that's bouncing your stuff back that you then get to replay again, whether it's like a Chocomog that's coming onto the board and buffing up the rest of your team. There's just other cards, especially at a mana cost like 4, that you go, I have better cards than this, and you should play those better cards. So great art. I also like Griffins. Griffins is a creature type that I feel like every single Griffin is overcosted for what you'd like it to do. Like, it's such a cool creature and a cool creature type, and then you get to all of them and you go, whoa, these all suck. These all just cost way too damn much. Let me just give you like a little hint. Do we want to just limit it to Pauper cards? Sure, we'll just limit it to Pauper cards. 35 of them, and you go 4 mana for a 2/2 flying vigilance, 4 mana for a 2/3 flying vigilance. Oof. 4 mana for a 3/2 flyer. These are still just not very good. 4 mana for a 2/2 flyer that can turn things white. Okay, I guess that works against like red blast and blue blast. Yeah. Okay, here you go. You got to spend 2 mana, one of each different color pip. You get a 2/2 flying and protection from enchantments. Ooh. Okay. There's our Charging Griffin that we've seen. 5 mana 3/2 flyers. 4 mana 2/3 flyers. Here's a classic one, Diving Griffin. This one's actually a little better. It's 3 mana for a 2/2 flyer with vigilance. Okay. 4 mana 2/2 flying vigilance. 5 mana 3/4 flyer. Like, these just aren't okay. Here's one that's actually, it's not. I'm not gonna say it's good, but it's 2 mana for a 2/2, and then it's got landfall and it gets flying. It's a Griffin that doesn't even start with flying. That's pretty bad. Like, all of these just kinda suck, and it's a real bummer. They're all just very overcosted. Razorfoot Griffin, I remember seeing that one a lot. Here you go. Transcendent Envoy. And you don't even play this because it's a good Griffin. You play it because it makes your aura spells cheaper. Yeah, these are just... Griffins deserve better, I think. So what do we give this? Nothing good, right? You end up giving it, like, I don't know, 2. Yeah, it's just a 2. That's fine. Next up, Judge of Currents from Lorwyn. Judge of Currents is 1 and a white for a 1/1 Merfolk Wizard, and when a Merfolk you control becomes tapped, you may gain 1 life. That's any Merfolk, not just this guy. That's pretty good. That can gain you a lot of life over the course of a game. There's not really a Merfolk deck in Pauper, but there are enough good Merfolk at Pauper, at common rarity for the Pauper format, that I think you could probably get away with making a deck built around something like this. It's only 1 life, but it's 1 life for every single Merfolk that becomes tapped that you control. Merfolk Looter is uncommon. I'm pretty positive. Oh no, there's common ones. So Merfolk Looter, tap that, draw to loot. You draw a card, then discard a card. You gain 1 life with the Judge of Currents out. You attack with things. You use Convoke for things. You crew vehicles. You station planets. I guess you're not doing that in Pauper. But there are lots of ways to tap down your creatures for some kind of value that isn't just attacking your opponent. And when you do that, this guy says, yeah, you gain life for every single one of them. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Easy to pick off. 2 mana for a 1/1 isn't amazing, but this hangs on the board a little for a turn or two, and you gain, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 life out of it over a course of a game. It's not terrible. It's not terrible. It's not really forwarding your own game plan. It's kind of stalling to keep yourself alive. And when are you really needing to do that? It's probably when you're against like aggressive red decks. And those aggressive red decks are just going to lightning bolt this guy or ping this guy in some way and get him out of the way very quickly. So that's not great. Because then you're not going to get the life gain out of him. And then the decks where the decks where you can gain a bunch of life, they probably don't care because they're going to find some way to combo, or they're going to find some way to go over the top. Or I've kind of gone both ways on this one. So I'm going to meet somewhere in the middle. I think this guy is totally fine and serviceable, and I think I'm going to give him like a 2.7. Yeah. I think that's a pretty respectable score, honestly, for a card like this. Moon Snare Specialist is 3 and a blue for a 2/2 human ninja. It's got ninjutsu for 2 and a blue. So ninjutsu, you can return an unblocked attacker you control to hand. Put this card onto the battlefield from your hand, tapped and attacking. And when this creature enters, you return up to 1 target creature to its owner's hand. So the interesting thing about this, and it's stuff you see with ninjutsu, that ninjutsu allows you to... You can use the ninjutsu ability at all different parts of combat after your creature is declared unblocked. So you can have your creature do the damage, and your creature is still technically attacking. They are in the attacking phase of combat. They're still attacking through all these phases of combat. Even once they've dealt the damage, they are still tapped and attacking. So you can bounce that creature back to your hand and then put this into play. And this has an enters ability, not a combat damage trigger like you'd see with something like Ninja the Deep Hours. So with that one, you always want a ninjutsu before damage so you can get the damage and draw the card. This guy says, no, maybe you have another guy who's really big and he's going to come in and do the damage, but I'm just here to make sure you go in and you bounce the creature. Problem is he's expensive. He's just too expensive. 4 mana to get this thing out normally. It's nice that he does work normally. If you can't ninjutsu him in, he still works because he's an ETB trigger. But 3 mana for a 2/2, even that bounces, nah, not really. And I'll kind of show you why, because Pauper also has access to this guy, Mistblade Shinobi, which is only a 1/1, but when he deals combat damage to a player, you can return target creature that player controls to its owner's hand. And it ninjutsus for a single blue. So you're never really paying this because you always need to ninjutsu this guy because this is a combat damage trigger. But you get that unsummon kind of ability for what an unsummon costs, not for 3 mana. 3 mana is a lot for that ability. Yeah, you don't really ever see Moon Snare Specialist in these decks because Fairies decks don't want it. It's too expensive. And where else would you go? Mistblade Shinobi has been used in Fairies decks before, but it's not particularly great. So I think for most of the time you're good with just the Moon Circuit Hacker and the Ninja of the Deep Hours, and you're set. Those are all the ninjas that you need. And all these other ninjas are fine, but they're not particularly great. Yeah. From a scoring perspective, let's give it a 2.4. Yeah, 2.4. Next up, Topple. 2 and a white for a sorcery. Exile target creature with the greatest power among creatures on the battlefield. That could include your creatures. But if that's true, you probably shouldn't play it. If two or more creatures are tied for the greatest power, target any one of them. Oh, okay. So it's at least not a both. So it gives you a little bit more flexibility on when to play this card. 12-cent card from Nemesis. Here's the other problem with a card like this. You play this, and your opponent has the ability to respond. Let's say they're playing a black deck, and they've got a pretty big creature, and you've got a pretty big creature, but you're going to be able to get rid of their guy. What's stopping them from using some kind of sacrifice effect in response to this, sacrificing their own guy, getting the value off of that, and now once you've played this, your guy now has the biggest the biggest power, and you got to exile your own guy. That can happen. And if it happens, it's devastating to you. So you probably don't really want to play it against black decks that have those instant speed, sacrifice a guy, draw two, make a map token or something. Fanatical Offering, those kind of cards. You could play it against some other stuff. You can play this against terrors, I suppose. It would end up costing you 5 mana to do, but the terrors are probably going to be bigger than anything you got. It still only costs 3 mana if you're going against the Gurmag Anglers. Again, that's black, so black has the ability to stop that. But the Cryptic Serpents from the terror deck. Yeah, there's potentially some use for this card. I think you can do better. I think the white has better removal options available to it, and you end up using those instead. Ride's End, I think, is probably the one I would point to the most of, like, look at this card. I know I've shown it on the channel before, but 5 mana to exile target creature or vehicle, that's fine. It's not great, but then the idea that if it's a tap permanent, it costs 3 less, so 2 mana to exile a creature. Yeah, you can't do it on creatures with vigilance that are attacking you anyway. Maybe you can tap that creature down and then exile it. But Ride's End is just a generally more flexible card that is only going to screw up your opponents and not you. And Topple's just not very good. I'm going to give Topple a 2.8, I guess. It's still like a removal spell that exiles, which is cool. But it can blow up in your face in a way that you really don't want. And even if that is an edge case, it's an edge case that can be devastating, and you don't want that. Vidalcan Entrancer is 3 and a blue for a 1/4 Vidalcan Wizard. You can pay a blue and tap it, and target player mills 2 cards. Too slow. Just too slow for any sort of mill deck. The Persistent Petitioner's deck is probably the best mill deck in Pauper. So you're looking for advisors. This guy is not an advisor, so he doesn't work in that sense. He costs a little bit too much to get on the table, and only milling 2 cards is just not nearly enough cards. You really need to mill them for a lot more before you really get the value. And this guy just ends up being kind of a nothing. Originally from Ravnica, I remember playing with this guy. He wasn't very good then either. The best thing is the 4 toughness. And you can get 4 toughness on things that are a lot cheaper than this. Let's go ahead and give this guy a 1.7. Pretty terrible. Story Seeker is 1 and a white for a 2/2 Dwarf Cleric with lifelink. That's all it is. There are worse abilities, though. The problem is that, yes, this is in white. Maybe it's the best one in white, because I'm thinking about stuff like the Bright Blade Stoat, but that's uncommon. But he's a 2 mana 2/2 first strike and lifelink. That's better. There's also the Lorwyn card that is the same thing, but it's double white for a 2/2 first strike lifelinker. Some Kithkin thing that. So yeah, is this guy good enough? I don't think so. I mean, you also see in black, you've got not Scarblade Elite, Scarblade Scout, which is a 2-mana 2/2 lifelinker. But when this creature enters, you mill 2 cards, and black decks might want that. You milling the cards might be pretty good. There's also an Outlaws of Thunder Junction card that is functionally exactly like this. It's not an elf, but it's, I think, like a human. It's some kind of outlaw, one of the outlaws, human mercenary, something like that, and it does the exact same thing. 2/2 lifelink for 2 with when this creature enters, you mill 2 cards. So I think if you are looking for that kind of effect, you just have better cards to play. In white, I think you probably still do have better cards to play. I guess we can check. So white, creature, lifelink, and legal in Pauper. Oh, hang on. Before we do that, let's go mana value equals 2. 18 cards. So you got a guy with double pip. So he's better than this guy. He's the same as this guy, unless you care about the dwarves over Phyrexians, because both were clerics. Better than that guy. Same as this guy. So maybe Vampire Soldier is probably better creature types for you. He's a 2/1, although I'd really like the Mandible just to CR. That's a pretty cool card. No, not very good. About the same. Any of these better? I mean, Outlaw Medic is generally better because it's got the 3 toughness. You're using this in Gates decks, and if they kill it, you get the card back. So that's not terrible. But yeah, this is probably the best you can get from this. I mean, you'd have to go down on power to get something like this. You do see Seeker of the Way used in mono white heroic decks, because the prowess is really nice, and then you're using enchantments which are non-creature spells, so you're getting the lifelink from this guy anyway. I've got Sunspear Shikari in an equipment focused deck, and giving it lifelink that way, and the first strike is actually even more important than the lifelink, but those are pretty good. Just not a whole lot of options. There's just not like I know what it's called. The Knight of Meadow Green. Yes. 2/2 or 2 pips for a 2/2 first strike lifelink. It's a slightly worse Brightblade Stoat, but there's cards out there that are just kind of better than this. But this is, in Pauper at least, kind of the going rate for this style of creature. It's playable, I guess, but it's not great. I'm going to give it a 3. Just a solid 3. Next up, Urza's Power Plant. Is this our first Urza land? It might be. This was on my 9 Pauper cards that made me list, so I'll go back and look at that video. That was a great video. I talked about how specifically the Chronicles one. This is the art. This is the one I use in my Urzatron deck, my Monstertron deck. And these Urza lands rule. These Urza lands rule. They're so good. Crazy that they are at common rarity. Urza's Power Plant says it's a land, Urza's Power Plant, and you can tap it to add a colorless, but if you control an Urza's Mine and an Urza's Tower, you make 2 colorless mana instead. So you get all 3 together, and you can make, this guy makes 2, the Mine makes 2, the Tower makes 3, so you can make 7 total mana with those 3 lands into play, and then you can do some cool shenanigans by just playing giant spells the rest of the game. Or there's also the Ultratron list that are more combo heavy. These are great lands. These are just incredible lands. They feel busted in Pauper. They've made enough maps at this point. The expedition maps are the better ones, but then the world maps from Final Fantasy were also pretty good, and give you 8 of those style abilities. You have crop rotation, which can sacrifice some other land that you have and go and grab you any land and put it on the battlefield. That's a way of getting to these Tron lands faster. You have lots of ways of getting these specific lands into your hand or onto the battlefield, and then being able to do your combo-y stuff or your giant spell stuff with these. They're great. They're great. They've opened up a number of different decks in the format, and it's because they're awesome. It's because they are incredibly busted when you can make them work, and it's not that hard to make them work. I'm going to give Urza's power plant an 8.2. Does it deserve higher? Probably. I'm going to give it an 8.4. And then I'm going to give the tower an 8.5 because it does make you one more mana. Now, again, you need all three to make any of them work. But the tower does give you a little bit more mana, so I'm going to give it a little bit more points. Some of the best lands ever created, and they are incredibly good in Pauper. Let's get us back here. And this is good art too. It just doesn't come in the retro frame, and that's too bad because I also like this art. Some people like the bug. Nah, I'm not a fan of the bug. Next up is Maximize Altitude. For a single blue, you get a sorcery that says target creature gets +1/+1 and gains flying until end of turn. It also has Jumpstart. You may cast this card from your graveyard by discarding a card in addition to paying its other cost. Then you exile this card. So it's kind of got a form of flashback, which is cool. And that flashback costs you a little bit more. As a single mana spell, this is not a crazy impactful spell. It's okay. Sorcery speed. I guess you want to it's useful for wizards to make this sorcery speed because it can be confusing, especially for new players, if you try to attack with this guy and then somebody blocks and then you try to give it flying afterward, because the blocks have already been declared, so he's already blocked regardless of whether he has flying or not. Even though if you had attacked before when it did have flying, or if you gave it flying before you attacked, that guy would not be able to block him now. That's just kind of confusing for new players. But it also makes it a little worse in that this combat trick is not a combat trick. You have to give it the +1/+1 before combat. So you're not tricking anybody. So that part's not great. I think if this card was just that, I wouldn't give it a great score. The idea that it has Jumpstart so you can use it one more time, that is a form of card advantage, and that's kind of cool. It's a way to exile cards from your own graveyard, which some decks might want. It's a way of casting multiple sorceries, even potentially in the same turn, which some decks would want. It's a way of discarding cards, which some decks would want. Some decks like to discard cards. They have specific cards they want to discard so they can reanimate them or they can do something else with them. This enables that stuff as well. The Jumpstart really does give this a lot more consideration for a deck, even if the effect of the normal card is not that great. But the fact that you can use it twice and the fact that you can use Jumpstart to enable a number of other sorts of strategies is pretty good. It is pretty good. I'm going to end up giving this thing a 3.1. No, I'm not. It's good. It's not that good. I'm going to give it a 2.9. 2.9, which is still pretty solid. Pretty cool card. Next is Waterfall Aerialist. For 3 and a blue, you get a 3/1 Djinn Wizard. It's got flying and it's got Ward 2. What's the difference between this and a Tolarian Terror? Just the fact that you probably paid four times as much mana for this guy. He does fly, and he's a lot less powerful. And he still dies to end the festivities, which pings all of your creatures. So the ward doesn't really make a difference at that point. He's not very good. Not very good. Even with Ward 2, which certainly does make a difference, this thing gets blocked all day long. All day long. If your opponent has the Glint Hawk or a Healer's Hawk or a Fairy of some kind, they could just block this guy and trade, and not particularly good. Not particularly good. I don't think the Ward 2, especially when this thing costs 4 already, I think you're most of the time just going to end up losing this on the table and then feeling like you wasted 4 mana. I don't love them. Let's go with a 2.5. Next up is Mugging. For a single red mana, you get a sorcery. Mugging deals 2 damage to target creature. That creature can't block this turn. That's also why we were just talking about the +1/+1 and flying sorcery. This one's probably at sorcery speed, just because again it would be very confusing if somebody already blocked a creature and then you played this at instant speed and went, oh, he can't block. And it's like he's already blocked. It doesn't make a difference anymore. So you make this a sorcery so that never comes up. But it does make the card a whole lot worse because now you can't use this shock ability at instant speed, whereas shock you just can. Yeah, this is bad. I don't particularly like this at all. Let's give it a 1.9. And we'll do one bonus card and then get out of here. Our bonus card of the day is Blessing of Belzenlock. It's a single black mana for an instant. Target creature gets +2/+1 until end of turn. If it's legendary, it also gains lifelink until end of turn. So a bit of a throwback to an Unholy Strength, which is an aura that gives +2/+1 for a single black mana. But this does it as a combat trick. But it also has the little benefit of if you have a legendary creature, gains lifelink. Well, a few sets ago, I would have said this card was really bad because we didn't have a whole lot of legendary creatures in Pauper. You had the two red ones from a long time ago. You had the red one from Modern Horizons 3, the little goblin guy who had Grandor. So I don't know. I guess you could play him. He wasn't very good. But now with the Spider-Man sets and the Ninja Turtle sets, there's a whole lot more legendary commons. And, you throw this on the Orokosaki, and that makes him a 5/2 with lifelink. And you've already used Sneak, so you snuck him into play. So he's already going to go in for damage. And now at instant speed, you go, well, what if I did even more damage and I gain some back? That's kind of cool. That's all right. There's a black mono black Venom card from Spider-Man that has Death Touch, but I don't think it has lifelink. We can check. So you can give that guy lifelink, I guess. Where are you? There you are. Venom, Evil Unleashed. So yeah, he's just a 4/5 with Death Touch. Just a 4/5 with Death Touch. So you can make him into a 6/6 Death Touch lifelink for a turn. That's pretty cool. I don't know. There's some stuff you could do. Overall, though, I don't think it's very good. It's just kind of a halfway decent combat trick, and even when you are playing this, how many legends do you really have in your decks? The Orokosaki and the Orzhov Blade deck, I use 2 in mine now. I've seen people use up to 3. I guess somebody might go up to 4, but with the legend rule, it makes it really hard to justify playing more than 2 or 3, because once one's on the board, you feel like you're locked out from playing the other one. I don't know. If you didn't have the lifelink part of it, I would say this is just a pretty bad combat trick. And the lifelink is just really limited for what you can use it for in Pauper. And even though those options that I showed are pretty good options to add +2/+1 and lifelink to, just think the opportunity to be able to use a card like this is relatively low in Pauper right now. Maybe that changes after this year once we get Star Trek guys and Hobbit guys and a bunch of other stuff. Bunch of other stuff that comes in, and you go, oh, and the other Marvel set, yeah, that'll have some common superheroes in it too, I'm sure. So maybe at that point we can look back at this card and go, whoa, this thing's busted amazing. But for now, I think it's just okay. I guess I'll give it a score that tries to hedge its bets a little bit in case there are more common legends that come out. I really hope not, but I know there will be. Let's go with a 2.3, I guess. Yeah. I'm going to do one more bonus card. I want to do one more. Oh, hell yes. I'm so glad we did another bonus card. It's Giant Shark. For 5 and a blue, you get a 4/4 shark from the dark. And this creature can't attack unless defending player controls an island. Oh, so good. So good. Whenever this creature blocks or becomes blocked by a creature that has been dealt damage this turn, this creature gets +2/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. And when you control no islands, you sacrifice this creature. It has island home on it. That's incredible. I need to read that middle paragraph again because it's stupid. Whenever this creature blocks or becomes blocked by a creature that has been dealt damage this turn, this creature gets +2/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. All right. If this thing's blocking, it doesn't matter that it gets trample. That's nothing. So that part of the effect only works when you're attacking. But the +2/+0 could be useful, I guess, if you're trying to trade, or not even trade, if you're just trying to kill the other creature. But that means you need to deal damage to it before. So how are you going to do that? If you're in blue, the answer is a couple of the pingers, a prodigal sorcerer, the fairies that ping. Not a lot of great options for that. If you're in Izzet, you at least now have some more direct damage spells that can do a little something like that. You could double block with this guy and another creature that had first strike. So the first striker would deal its damage first, and then this would get the bonus. Right? No, that wouldn't work because this activates on block. So when your opponent declares that their creature is blocking, if this effect hasn't already happened, it won't happen. So once you go to first strike damage, you're past the point where this thing can get the +2/+0. So it's really only using some kind of burn spell or some kind of ping from another creature. That sucks. That sucks. Or like an end the festivities, like that's also Izzet, but I'm kind of counting that under burn spells, so you can do lots of things like that. But this is really bad. It's just so bad. Fantastic art, but and also it's called Giant Shark. You gotta love a card called Giant Shark. It's from the dark. It's 30 cents from the dark. Those are some really old Magic cards that don't have like a billion printings. But it's 30 cents because this card sucks. But it's Giant Shark. What do you want from me? It's 10 in my heart, but it's a 1.2 in my brain. 6 mana. 6 mana for a 4/4, which can eventually become a craw worm with trample if you go through the hoops that you need to go through, but you're never doing 6 damage to the opponent because they would have to have blocked this creature first to get the extra power. It's bad. It's so bad. Oh, poor Giant Shark. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye.